Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jakey and welcome back to another Final Fantasy 3 job only challenge. This time we have the Geomancer job, which is another water crystal job. Now, in this video, I'm going to just do something different than what I normally do, and I'm just going to skim over the time spent as an onion knight, as it doesn't really matter, as it's a starting job, and that's basically the tutorial, as it's going to be identical to how Dragoon only run. That being said, every time I do a new run, I always start with a new save file and not just pick up from another water crystal save, like what Backlog Buster does for his Final Fantasy 5 job only challenges. Not knocking the method or anything, just thought I should let you know in case the character names wasn't enough of a clue. Anyway, speaking of names, meet the new crew. We have Drea from Naruto, because he splits the earth now one episode for Naruto to fall into, and he uses the Torch Sage Jutsu, which is kinda naturey. Dragon from One Piece, because I think his power and nature related, even though I have no proof. Toph from Avatar The Last Airbender, because she's an earthbender and it just made sense. And lastly we got Mog from Final Fantasy 6, because his dance move is kinda like a Geomancer's move, and he's the only one from Final Fantasy I could find. The rules. The rules are going to be the same as always. 1. We must stay as Onion Knights until we unlock the challenge job, then immediately change into that job. 2. We can only use another job to make ourselves mini or Toad for story progression purposes. 3. We cannot spin the wheel to see what the next challenge will be until we are done with this one. 4. We will be doing all optional content. And 5. Not really a rule, but we will try and keep the grinding to a minimum. Now, a challenge for you guys is, can you guess the average party level and time taken to complete the run? Or do you think I will fail? Let me know below. Now, let's begin the challenge. First things first, we beat the land turtle and unlock the wind crystal job, which is pointless for this run, so bye. Next, we get some good gear, some consumables, do a little grind to get our job level up. Shortly after that, we head into the seal cave to fight the Jinn. He beats us, so we decide to leave and get more job levels. After the grind, we are level 15 and job level 40. We shouldn't have a problem in the rematch. We destroyed him, which we was expecting. Then we destroy our first airship, give away an elixir, run away from a giant dragon and jump off a cliff. Now it's the first instance where we must turn into mini, so we make Raya a white mage and travel through the mini village and the mini cave. We arrive at the Pirate's Cove and they offer us our ship if we can calm the Nectar Dragon's rage. For this we need to be mini and beat the giant rat, but due to the Onion Knight hitting for 1 damage when mini and not knowing any magic, we have to farm for damage and items just outside where the Nectar Dragon spawns. We won't be fighting the Nectar Dragon, just teasing him by sailing around in front of him. If you want to see me try and take him on, I did make a video trying to beat the Nectar Dragon, so be sure to check that out. After shamelessly free advertising, we begin the farm. This time it took about 10-20 minutes, which is awesome. We only got level 18, so not much of a jump there either. Just before we go to become mini again for the dungeon, we flee from everything and then come face to face with the giant rat. After 5 items, the rat is slain, and I have a ship, not on air, but a sea ship. Now we need to turn into Toad for the next dungeon, and who better than Drea? But first we need to get a spell, so let's see a monk in the cave. Now that's done, we Toad up and enter the Tower of Owen. After entering, we untowed ourselves, as we don't need to be Toads anymore, and honestly, it just felt strange. Now we beat up Medusa and head to the doors. I forgot to mention that a guy jumped off the cliff with us and has been following us, but once we beat Medusa, he jumped into a flaming pit. He was a bit of a loony, but he will be missed. After meeting the dwarves, they want us to fix their problems like everyone else in this world, so we have to Toad, enter the dungeon, untoad, beat the dungeon. Easy enough, right? Well, kinda. The boss Kuzco almost beats us, but we prevail victorious. But it was a trap, and Kuzco causes more trouble for the dwarves, and guess who got to fix it? Yep, us. But this time it was kind of our fault, so we gave chase into the fire cavern. After entering the fire cavern, we get beaten by a mob, meaning we ain't as tough as we thought, so we farm some gills so we can buy healing items. After a little guild farm, we have max potions and a good few eye potions, so we press on. After cornering Kuzco by the fire crystal, he turns into a frickin' dragon. We forgot to full heal and then die, but we beat him next time round, with items because I overfarmed from earlier for the rat. Then we go to Wayne's castle, kick his ass and get ourselves an airship. After a 20-minute farm for gil and damaging items, I started my journey towards the water crystal. Skipping the boring stuff, I beat Kraken, unlocked the Geomancer job. Now the run truly begins. First thing crosses my mind is, can we get weapons for Geomancers for Goldo? And the short answer is no. I'll tell you why that's a problem when we get to him. We also can't get no armor, so we are pretty much soft. But the thing is, with Geomancers they have the ability called terrain, which can deal elemental damage based on the environment you are fighting in. That sounds cool, but in reality it has like 4 moves, picks at random, and if you're by the water, it can chuck in like an extra 2 moves to the mix. This makes battles RNG because some moves are awful and 1 or 2 are pretty good. The problem is, we can't just pick the best moves every time. Anyway, we head into the sewers and don't really have problems because there is no boss in the sewers. However, before we can get our ship back and look for weapons and armor, we have to fight Goldo. And let me tell you why he is a massive problem in this run. Terrain doesn't work on him. All moves hit for 1 HP, and because we don't have weapons, so do our physical attacks. We have some damaging items, but not a lot as we use them on Hein, and due to the rules we are stuck as a Geomancer for the rest of the run. So what do we do now? Well, the cave of tides actually has mobs that drop damaging items, which means we have to walk up to the cave, which luckily we can reach because there's a lake outside there and not sea, so a canoe can get us there. The next problem is, we need the stronger damaging items, because the weaker ones only do 1 damage. The enemies drop them, but obviously they are a rarer drop than the basic, so a big grind is incoming. Because terrain is magic based, I can put the party in the back row and make them take more hits, but it doesn't shorten the grind by any time at all. After getting 7 damaging items and hitting level 35, I give it another go in hopes terrain will do some damage, but it still does 1, so now I know I've got to farm enough items to beat him in 1 go, so back to the Cave of Tides. This time I'm level 40 and I have 12 items. Let's see if we can kick this gold piece of shit's ass. We won, and we only had 1 item left, so it was pretty close to being another wipe. Now let's untrain our ship and look for some weapons and armor before we get trapped in yet another area. The first one we go to is called Duster, and there are the Geomancers walking around, so I think we have found the place to get armor and weapons. After getting the armor, I realised I had leather armor equipped, so I wasn't completely defenseless, but still pretty squishy. Now we're all kitted up, let's move on. We check the only other town we can access and there's nothing there. We get into a fight though, and our damage has gone so high because of our equipment, so I'm optimistic that we can play normally from here on out. Time to lock ourselves in Saronia and face off against Garuda. After doing what we need to do to progress the story, we have a few encounters, but they're no problem at all, and I'm hoping it's going to be the same for Garuda, and wow, we beat them about as fast as we did in the Dragoon only run. Absolutely mullered him. Straight over to Dogger's Mansion for the mini section, and terrain works well mini, so we're going to get some decent XP from this place, as the mobs are easy enough. Same story for the Temple of Time, even a behemoth stood no chance against us. We wake up Unai and enter the ancient ruins, and the enemies yet again pretty easy. I know we gained a ton of levels while farming for items used on Goldo, but I thought I did some resistance by now. I haven't really upgraded my equipment that much due to shops not really selling the stuff I need. I did get 1 extra bell and 2 protect rings, but that's hardly anything. We actually have a move called Quicksand in this area that insta-kill all enemies, which is great, except for 1 undead monster, which it just heals for 999, which, given the randomness of the Geomancer, can be quite annoying, but not really difficult. I end up finding a rune bell here, which may be the last upgrade I get. Fortunately, I am wrong, and the Invincible sells some, so now we are cooking, baby. Riding high from the last dungeon, we go straight into the next dungeon, which is basically a more difficult version of where we just was, except this one actually has a boss. But again, we don't really have a problem getting through the Cave of Shadows, but Hectornature was pretty hard. But that was mainly because we forgot to heal up before the fight and our party was pretty low on HP. Still, beat him first time though. Back to Dogger's mansion, and this time it was a different dungeon, which has 2 back-to-back bosses. But before that, will the mobs give us trouble? Nope, no way, nada. They was as easy as the others. The boss on the other hand gave me a bit of trouble, and it was nothing to do with me this time. Basically, Dogger uses Flare, which hits like a truck, and Una uses Holy, which is pretty bad but not as much as Flare. So Dogger weakened my team while Una managed to down Dryer and Dragon, but we won. Time for the optional content. As per, we try Bahamut first and he mullers us. I gave it another go but forgot to heal up, so third time trying him now, and we do a bit better but still lose. Let's go see Leviathan instead. We have a bit more luck this time and beat him first time, although it does get close when Mog goes into the red and then Toph goes down, but we get him back in the clear and beat Leviathan first time. Then we head to Falgabad for the very small cave at the back. Then we give Odin a try in Saronia Catacombs. Here we get a new move called Quicksand, which is an insta-kill move. But obviously it won't beat Odin. Now I got a funny feeling I wrote that because I missed the part earlier where I mentioned the Quicksand. But as you know, Quicksand one hits everything, so it's OP move. The problem is with Quicksand though, it can't one hit bosses, so we gotta hope that it doesn't come up in the fight with Odin. It came up 6 times, which means Odin gave us so much trouble that we was healing every other turn and lost Toph, so that's some XP missed for there. Now we head to the sunken cavern to get the chest and hopefully some levels, which we did, but only 1 level as we flew through it in no time at all. So let's give the big bad dragon another go, eh? Level 45 and dreaming big, but dreams only get you so far, I guess. Now back at level 50, we are ready to give the big bad Bahamut an ass kicking, and we finally beat him. We did have some really good luck by getting wind slash a few times, but it was still tough as we lost Dragon and Mog, and was only 1 more Mega Flare away from losing. Now with that done, we get back to the task at hand, which is the Ancient's Maze. First thing we do is beat Titan and save the Earth Crystal, just cause. Wind Slash was just beating him down and Quake was hardly hurting us, but when he used Flare, which gave us a little scare, this part just turned into a wrap, but then we beat him. I decided to make a plan here, and the plan is if I can't beat any of the bosses in Eureka, I will come back here and farm elixirs from King Behemoth, which is way harder than it sounds. We get through the maze collecting all the chests and head into Eureka, and straight away the mobs have got me worried. I immediately think I won't be able to beat any bosses because they seem really strong. That way of thinking, however, was misplaced as I absolutely smashed them on due to some very lucky wind slashes. Next is the Konoichi, and she can use Aeroga, which hits like a truck, but we, however, have the God's Luck on our side and use 6 wind slashes in a row and also get a few more off. I'd say about 10 in total in that fight, and we still lost Toph and Dragon was in the red, so we were very lucky there. The worst part about this is I can't use any of these weapons that I'm beating all these bosses for, but now we face General. I should probably put the Lockjaw on because this time we had 4 wind slashes in a row, and then not long after we hit 3 in a row as well, and some scattered about here and there. So all in all I'd say we hit for over 12 wind slashes. How long can we keep this up? We run past the last 2 bosses to get a heal and then pick Guardian first as he's a bit easier than the other boss. We get another 4 wind slash in a row and a couple more as well, but Mog gets confused early in the fight and basically helps us lose, which is unfortunate because I feel like our wind slash luck has now run out. We try again and start the fight, 3 wind slashes in a row, and we have that happen a couple of times throughout the fight, and we go on to win. Praying to RNGs every night really does pay off. We go on heal up again and then try Skyla, I can never get this name right. We get 4 wind slashes in a row, which is good considering that's the strongest move by far. There's no way we can keep up that luck. We also beat Skyla, whatever, but not before eating a flare which sends Shariah into the red. Now with Eureka done, it's time to face the final dungeon. Kinda. I went back to the airship to stock up on eye potions and farmed elixirs for about an hour, but unfortunately I only got 1. I'm now level 57 heading into the Crystal Tower, and I'm hoping that this is enough to make it to the end of the game. There's not really much to talk about on the Crystal Tower except for coming up against a yellow dragon, and we got an elixir from it. Other than that, it's just a standard experience of enemies being tougher than any place so far, and I'm to use quite a few high potions on the journey to the top. Now we face the pseudo final boss in Zande. We wasn't making any progress after 3 attempts, and I'm locked in the area, so it's either I hope RNG is on my side and keep trying, use elixirs and maybe do a mega grind in the World of Darkness, or load up an old save and try and get more levels and elixirs. I choose to use some elixirs and do some grinding in the World of Darkness. The reason for this is because I may load up an old save and not get any elixirs, but get levels due to how the encounter rates are for the King Behemoth, and on top of that, the drop rates for elixirs are even worse. So to save me running up the tower again, I figured I'd grind later. As for hoping for RNG, well, I could do that, but who knows how long that could take, and even with godlike RNG, it's still no 100% chance that I would win. I had 23 elixirs at the start of the fight, and I was left with 19 after I beat Zande. But I did try using damaging items, but except for Chocobo's Wrath, it was all useless. Now, we run straight to Cerberus so we can get some free heals and get our grinding on. We beat him on our first time, but we lost Mog as we were just using terrain and not healing. On a side note, the World of Darkness adds rapids and rock slide to the mix, and rapids can one-hit certain enemies, so that's gonna be super helpful when grinding. After getting about 2 levels, I got fed up of having to remove status ailments all the time, so I decided to go and get the ribbons from the chests. The ribbons are guarded by Zande's clone, which is difficult but nowhere near as difficult as the original. I beat the first one but lost Mog in the process, so I ran back up to the crystal every time I open a chest because I usually take good bit of damage. Because of this, I tried to take on Echidna and unlock the crystal because the path to Cerberus' crystal is a bit of a nightmare. At this point it's 4 PM and I want the challenge done by the end of the day. Unfortunately, I lose to Echidna first time round. So we hit the second chest, and instead this time nobody went down. One problem we kinda have is that we need to use high potions for each of the big fights, as we lose health from random encounters as we make our way down to each one. The problem comes from not being able to buy more. I'm 90% sure that enemies here drop them, so if I need, I can farm some back. While equipping my new ribbon, I realised I forgot to farm protect rings, which was part of my plan, but considering I barely got elixirs, I probably would be max level before I got enough for my entire party. While heading back to the crystal to get a heal, I almost came over, which knocked my confidence ever so slightly. Third chest done, but again Mog was lost and Dryer and Toph was in the red, so a pretty close one. On a side note, everyone now has ribbons, but there's 1 chest left, so let's just do that as well. On the way back to the crystal heal, I flee from everything because I'm really low on high potions. However, if I lose a party member, I will Phoenix down them because I have plenty of Phoenix downs. We made it with no game overs somehow, so time to get the last chest done. I decided to try the last Zande's clone without healing up, and we lose. This job is troublesome. Second time round we do the same, but our luck is way better, and now we have all chests and just need to grind again because even with good luck we ain't beating Harryman or the 2-headed dragon. On the way back to Crystal we keep losing party members but getting back up, and about 3 steps away from the Crystal's room we game over. I'm tamping, but I make it back a second time. Now it's time to grind as I originally planned, but this time I need high potion drops too. After a lot of grinding, I am now level 77. Hoping that this is enough to finish the game off, we try Echidna first, as they are probably the easiest boss out of the 3 remaining ones. But even with my 5000 HP party, we still fail to get the win, due to the randomness of terrain. But on a more positive note, the weaker attacks are now hitting a lot harder. Actually, that's not a positive because we still lose when the weaker attacks are used, so let's have another go. I accidentally start with a normal attack, so we're off to a bad start. Even with a bad start though, we beat Echidna with 3 party members left and all of them in the red. It just goes to show that so much luck is involved when using the Geomancer. Next up is Harryman, and sometimes he can be the hardest of the 4 crystals, so let's see how our luck is. We managed to last a while, but just before we lost he cast Kiruja, which I forgot he could do, So now we need a run where we can hit tons of wind slashes and he doesn't cast Courageous. But that probably means he's going to cast more meteor spells. So it's the lesser of two evils, I guess. After 2 more attempts and not a single wind slash cast, I decide we need to grind to about level 80. After the grind, we are at level 83, and for the first time ever I have hit max skill. I did have another 2 attempts of Ariman, but you can probably guess how they went, so that's why I went higher than level 80, as I initially planned. Another attempt later, and even though we lasted much longer than before, he never cast Courageous. We only cast Wind Slash twice, and that is exactly what makes this job a nightmare. We should have won at level 78. The RNG of getting the best possible move is low, and the worst moves come up all the time. So we put that down to bad luck. And try again. Okay, so that was my 7th loss to Ariman, and I was pretty pissed off with him. So rather than try the 2-headed dragon, I decided to grind to level 85. Let's see if this makes a difference then, shall we? It doesn't, and our luck is even worse, as he casts Courageous. So let's have another fucking go in, shall we? We've got Wheel and get decimated. Let's run it back. I started fighting him about a week ago, and after 11 defeats, I'm done. Thank you all for watching the video. Nah, fuck, I'll just grind some more. And whatnot. Level 88 now, and not taking any damn prisoners this time. Off to a great start with 4 wind slashes in the first 2 turns, but then our luck runs out. He uses Courageous, and wind slashes seem to be a thing of the past. We managed to survive the next few turns due to who gets targeted and what moves was used, but then he uses his last single target attack and everyone is in the red. The next attack is guaranteed to hit everyone and probably game over us, even after the amazing luck at the beginning. We do manage another wind slash after the Courageous, but it's not enough to reverse the HP that was cured. This is going to be the 12th time I have lost, but then, by the skin of our teeth, we go first and we beat them down. I'll be honest, if I started as good as I did and then lost, I probably would have gone for max level. So after many losses, we finally bested Ariman, and due to our level and tankiness, we should be able to beat the 2-headed dragon first time, as I have a strat of reviving each down party member as he only does single target attacks, and we should outspeed him. First time, baby, let's go. The strat worked, but to be fair, he didn't hit all that hard, except for the one time he hit for 3000. Now we are ready for the Cloud of Darkness, and have 20 elixirs at our disposal. Hopefully we can beat her first time too. As we heal up just before we face her, we realise we only have 19 elixirs, but hopefully that won't be a problem. The aim here is to use terrain, and when someone is in the red, throw an elixir on them. And I get lucky twice through the fight, as a character ends up in the red, and I end up auto-battling the next turn, rather than throw elixirs. With the luck on my side, I end up winning, with no massive problems, as she only really uses Particle Beam. And with that, the Geomancer run is done. Thank God for that. I thought this would have been a fast run due to how lucky we was with the 8 downs to the giant rat, but due to the Golden incident and the absolute perfect luck you need for some of the bosses, this run ended up being my highest level and longest run so far, with a time of 36 hours 58 minutes and a level of 88. So did anyone guess that or even get close? I know I didn't, I was miles off. Let's see what trouble awaits us next, is it? The Dark Knight, which is another water crystal job, I believe. If you made it this far into the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing if you're not already, as it helps the channel massively, and these videos take an insane amount of work to get done. Also, if you want to watch the full run, I do have a playlist of it on the channel, and thank you all for watching. I will see you all in a bit. Ta-da!